Hidden behind the fundamentals of goal setting are very powerful mechanisms we can tap into right now at this very moment. I think we just need to be aware that they exist and use them very carefully as we progress towards our goals. I think they are that powerful that we have to handle them with the utmost care. And I think handling something that is almost as volatile or very powerful requires extensive knowledge. As we know, knowledge is power, and with that power comes a level of confidence. So understanding the basic principles or the fundamentals behind goal setting really is the first step. So let's start. The first step in goal setting is, in my humble opinion, to use our common sense. Does it make sense, for example, to lose 10 pounds in one day? I mean, if someone went up to you and said, hey, I want to lose 10 pounds in one day, does that make sense? Using your sound judgment, is that a commonsensical way to approach losing 10 pounds? Now juxtapose that with another person who says, I want to lose 10 pounds in 10 weeks or 70 days. Well, that makes a little bit more sense, right? There are people out there for competitions, wrestlers, people who train MMA, boxers. You guys know this. Losing 10 pounds in a 24 to 48 hour period to make your weigh-in or to qualify in your weight class is very doable. So 10 pounds over a 10-week period, which is basically 1 pound per week, is very reasonable, right? So hidden in that commonsensical approach to setting a goal is what I call under-promising. Companies do this all the time. We go online, we see a product. It says right there in our face, 10 business days, it's going to arrive at our doorstep. So we click, we buy, we're expecting this product to arrive at our front door in 10 business days. Voila, we wake up. Overnight, it's there at our front door. What happened? The company under-promised and over-delivered. We have this positive feeling now about this company. We want to return back to them and get the same positive feeling every single time we want to buy a very similar product or service. The same tactic can be used with ourselves by simply under-promising. So we have this view of what we want to do. Okay, well, let's lose 20 pounds in 4 weeks. Doable, common sense wise, does that make sense? Well, in our world of let's get everything right now, we may think that that's possible. But what are we sacrificing in order to achieve that goal in a very short period of time? I mean, whether you get from Manhattan to Connecticut in 1 hour, or you get there by going 100 miles per hour and you get there in half an hour, you're still going to get there, right? But which one is safer? Which one makes more common sense to you? Well, if I want to get to point A to point Z and it's going to take me an hour and I can get there more safely and not incur tickets or speeding tickets and whatnot, as opposed to getting there in 30 minutes, well, you know, what's the better choice? I think that's really up to you to decide. The second step is being specific. Now there's being very specific, and now there's being very, very specific. Now, let me kind of get into that. Well, we've already understood the specificity of a deadline by talking about 10 pounds in 10 weeks. All right, 10 weeks, 70 days is a deadline. That's very specific, 70 days. Well, embedded in that deadline, the hidden mechanism of a deadline is a sense of urgency. What happens when someone says to us, let's say a professor says to you, you got to get your final report in by tomorrow, 3 p.m. or else you're going to fail. Deadline has been given to you. You know what you have to do. I'm pretty sure you're going to sit at home all day on your ass, Red Bull it up, and make it happen for the deadline the next day because you don't want to fail. What happens when we pick up the mail and we see urgent on an envelope? You guys know where I'm going. The embedded urgency or sense of urgency within a deadline is something that we can freely tap into right now, which means that we have to be very specific about the start date of a goal and very, very specific about the end date of a goal. If you want to get very specific, or I should say very, very specific, we should also have not just the day, but the time. Now, of course, there's the what to do in that period of time in the context of losing weight. 10 pounds in 10 weeks. Okay, we're going to lose 10 pounds. That means every single week we're going to lose at least 1 pound. At the end of 2 weeks, at least 2 pounds. At the end of 3 weeks, at least 3 pounds. Now, what happens after the first week and we lose that first pound? We feel elated. We have this positive feeling. We feel good. Hidden inside of that, of delivering on our under promise, that's very specific, is this automatic positive feedback loop system. As human beings, it's our nature to gravitate towards things that feel good, that make us feel good. And so we're using a part of our own nature of gravitating towards things that feel good in order to create a positive or automatic positive feedback loop system.